I just opened Equestria Daily and it said like open Equestria Daily right now. No. Don't adjust the audience yet. This is called a cold open. This is called a cold open. Don't adjust the audience yet until we've done our bit. No, just like open Equestria Daily and like the top banner. It says like Chrysalis Day on the top. What is Chrysalis Day? Maybe. Hey everybody, welcome back. Fuck, I said the wrong thing. My name is V. Today, my favorite pony is Apple Bloom. That's gonna be my bid. I think I'm gonna have a different favorite pony every week. Hold on, they said they can't hear you. Hold on.
Okay, they can hear me now.
Okay, let's try it from the top. You know what? Just forget that whole thing that happened before. Just do the intro again. Just do the intro again.
Do the intro again. Hi, everybody.
Yeah.
Welcome back to Horsin Around, a Friendship is Magic retrospective.
I'm the co-host. My name is V. Today, my favorite pony is Apple Bloom.
Apple Bloom. Today we are covering Season 1, Episodes 7 through 9, which I think is a pretty okay... It's okay.
It would have been a lot better. Like, there's 2/3 of those episodes are doing the work of this batch. This is what I refer to as a mixed bag of episodes, I think. I think we all... Can we address the... Do they have elephants? Do we have elephants?
I think elephants exist.
Can we address the elephant in the room? The racism episode, the first of two, at least.
The first of two this season.
Of all time, I think there's no more racism episodes later, right?
There's a few more racism episodes.
Like in season 6 and stuff.
In like season
the other
6,
race stuff.
In like season 6.
Those are like, but those. Those episodes are not like the cultures that they meet in those episodes are not explicitly based on real world minorities.
Yeah, like changelings and dragons don't have a 1-to-1.
Changelings are creatures of malice that were created by an evil tyrant to kill people, and then they fix that. Like, they are creatures of pure that's not actually true, right? That episode dictates that that's not how changelings are supposed to be, right?
Yeah,
that's the lore in that episode. Changelings aren't supposed to be like that.
Changelings are meant to be symbiotic with other creatures, not parasitic.
They elected a really shitty leader one time, and everything went really bad. That's season 6 problems, though. Oh. Today's episodes are mostly good. I wouldn't even...
Go ahead.
No, let's start with Dragonshy, actually. Yeah. Let's not talk about Sakura anymore.
Oh, we begin with Dragonshy, the first Fluttershy-focused episode.
That's right. Season 1, Episode 7. This was written by Megan McCarthy, who has already been a writer on the show so far, I think. Mm-hmm. Like we keep saying, she'll be a major name going forward. And this is our first real, I don't know, one-on-one time with Fluttershy, our first real get-to-know-her episode. It establishes pretty much everything you'll ever need to know about Fluttershy, except for the stare.
We learn that later.
Which is like 4 episodes from now. Mm-hmm. Or like 6 episodes from now.
We begin with Fluttershy taking care of animals, and her horrid, wretched beast called Angel.
I also wrote that Angel Bunny's a fucking demon.
Angel is I wrote down Angel is a malicious beast that needs to be put down.
When I was making notes about the dragon, spoilers, there's a dragon in this episode. Later in the episode, I wrote some stuff about the dragon, and then I was just like, because it's about how like the dragon's intelligence is portrayed. And then I was like, come to think of it, Angel Bunny is also portrayed as an intelligent being that can understand speech. Like, Angel Bunny knows what she's saying. Like, in a way that other animals don't seem to display that level of intelligence, Angel Bunny is like a non-verbal, intelligent creature somehow, and is actively malicious. He's choosing to be like that. Like, he has a soul and he's evil.
There were so many like fan jokes and fan theories and fictions that Angel is just sentient and he chooses to be evil.
Yes, he has a soul. Like, he has the intelligence to choose. It's like chimpanzees or whatever, right? They're capable of rational thought to some degree, and so they make choices that are evil. Like, if a gorilla does something crazy, it's like, it's a gorilla. They don't know any better because they're gorillas, bro. If like a chimpanzee does that shit, it's like he knows that he's being evil. That's Angel Bunny. Compared to other rabbits. There are other rabbits in the show, and like even in this episode, that are just normal animals. Like, they don't talk, or I mean, but they don't like do any of the things that Angel Bunny does. They're just normal. He's just evil.
I hate this beast. This creature.
There's a dragon.
There's a dragon. So the main plot of this episode is a dragon has moved into a nearby mountain, and his snores are covering Equestria in eternal smog.
Mm-hmm. Which is kind of like Eternal Night, but worse, I guess.
And this is like the first
kill all their plants.
This is the first non-opener / non-finale episode where like the main six are called upon to solve the problem.
Yes, Celestia does explicitly enlist them by name to go solve the fucking problem. It's also basically the first time outside of the first 3 episodes that all 6 of them are in the same room at the same time and like actively doing something together. Usually it's been like 2 or 3 of them. Like in the last couple of episodes, it's been a couple of them and maybe Twilight. This is, I'm pretty sure, the first time all 6 of them have been like in the same room in a couple of weeks. Outside of the first episodes, and I think all 6 of them were in the same room in Ticketmaster.
They were. Yeah, they're all the gang. The gang's back together.
The gang is back together. We've established now that when shit hits the fan, Celestia will call on us as our sworn duty to our god to solve whatever bullshit problem.
She can't do it herself.
Celestia cannot be asked to get off her fat ass on the throne and do it herself. Celestia could have solved that shit in 5 seconds, right?
She has to teach Twilight a lesson.
She just offloading stuff on Twilight because she's a lazy dick.
Maybe a little bit.
I don't want to deal with that. Maybe she had other important royal duties to attend to, which are, as of yet, unknown.
After the dragon is established, Fluttershy tries to get the rest of Ponyville to listen to her. Fails because she's Fluttershy.
Yep. They won't listen to her because they can't hear her, or because she's annoying and they ignore her.
And you pointed this out to me. I did not see this. We get one of the most famous background pony shots ever.
The meme! The Lyra meme. Show me it. Show me it.
Oh.
Do you have it? Yes!
Yeah, there we go.
The random... Who posed her like this? Why did this happen?
I have no idea why.
Which one of them is sitting on the bench wrong?
Why did one of the animators decide to play a little joke and make Lyra sit like this?
Go ahead.
And then the fandom just decided that Lyra is upset, somehow knows about, and is obsessed with humans.
I was gonna say, this is where the human thing came from with her, right? This was like her thing. If you guys don't know, if you don't remember, because this was a long time ago, common fanon interpretations of Lyra, I wouldn't say really interpretations, but maybe like a common running joke with Lyra in terms of like fan art and stuff, was that she knew about and was obsessed with human beings. She would, a lot of people portrayed her as, somehow this evolved into her having like some sort of like hand fetish. I'm not really sure how we got to that.
I don't know how we got there. I don't know.
I don't know how we got that far, but there was a lot of... I remember a lot of fan art of Lyra interacting with human hands, like getting petted or like being fascinated by the idea of fingers or like whatever. And the more I talk about it, the weirder it sounds, actually. I think there's like this is Lyra's main thing as like a fanon character aside from her association with Bon Bon. This is pretty much what her like joke is. I think I said it last time that a lot of background characters got famous because they had a singular joke that they thrived off of. This is Lyra's joke.
Mm-hmm.
If anything, Bon Bon is being carried just by the fact that they were standing next to each other. I don't really think she has her own thing. Does she?
Not in the background sense, no.
Not in the background sense. This is Lyra's defining moment as a character, as a matter of fact. Because some animator decided to make her look like that.
That can't be comfortable for her body type, yeah?
No, that probably isn't good for her spine or something. They don't think that ponies have bones.
She's a quadruped. That doesn't.
They don't have bones.
Yeah,
they're just made of like jelly.
They don't have bones. Horses don't have bones.
They don't have bones, and only Pinkie Pie actually knows that.
So after this, Twilight shows up, and everyone listens to her because she's God's favorite little girl.
Because she's loud. Hey, listen the fuck up! Everybody stop what you're doing and listen to me. It's also because they know that usually when Twilight runs around screaming, something bad is happening. They've already learned this to some extent.
We are 7 weeks in, and everyone in town knows if Twilight is yelling, something is about to happen.
The only thing that, like, if people who haven't gotten a good know of Twilight yet, the only thing they know about her is that she did vanquish the Demon Lord.
Yeah.
A couple of weeks ago, and so if Twilight's like, "Hey, listen the fuck up," everyone's like, "Oh Jesus, what's happening?"
We gotta listen to her.
Twilight, the fucking God Queen Celestia's personal emissary, is in the middle of town yelling about something. Oh God. Something's definitely... They don't, like, sort of stop taking her seriously until later.
Yeah.
Like, she gets so neurotic about stuff that some, like, half the time it's like a coin flip of people of Ponyville are like, yeah, okay, it's another Tuesday, Twilight's having a fucking breakdown.
Yeah, it's just another Tuesday. This happens.
Yeah, this is the episode where we basically already established this with Fluttershy, but this is where we established with Fluttershy that she's just obnoxiously timid, and she's a pushover also, and she's like soft-spoken, like physically speaks very softly, so people don't always hear her or just ignore what she's saying.
Twilight has a neurotic disorder. Fluttershy has an anxiety disorder.
Yeah, it's why. Yeah, they're different. They're totally different, incompatible flavors of neurotic, which leads to like Fluttershy sort of trying to get out of having to go fight a dragon, and Twilight's like, no, back in line, please, thank you.
No, you're a bearer of harmony.
Actually, we need you specifically.
Yeah, she literally points out Fluttershy, hey, you can talk to the dragon, right?
Everybody can talk to the dragon, Twilight. It's a fucking person.
Yeah.
Why did... You know, this is what I wrote.
Twilight thinks dragons are wild animals.
She does explicitly say in this part of the episode that, like, no, Fluttershy, we need you because of your, affinity with animals or whatever, she says exactly. And it's like, oh yeah, okay. And then you're like, wait a minute. Dragons aren't fucking animals. They're people. Spike is a person, right? Like, he's not a fucking animal.
They can talk and make their own decisions.
Like, they're intelligent, rational creatures. Like, they are people, right?
Yeah.
And at the end of the episode, it talks to them.
The dragon fucking speaks to them.
It's a person. They didn't need Fluttershy to do it. Like, it's a weird mix in this episode where it's sort of, because going forward we do treat Fluttershy pretty much only breaks out her like dominating tone of voice when she's talking to animals.
Yeah.
But she does it on this dragon who's a person. I don't know. This episode is funny.
They spend a majority of the episode, like literally 20 minutes of the episode climbing this mountain.
Yeah, it's pretty much... It's an extended bit in this episode where Fluttershy just makes life difficult for everybody because she's like a scaredy cat or causes an avalanche, or whatever. By the way, in the beginning, before that bit starts, when Twilight's like, "All right, let's all get ready to go," the bit when they're like all like preparing or whatever, it's a A-Team joke.
It's an
It's a
A-Team joke.
It's an A-Team reference because all the kids at home watching this are gonna get a fucking A-Team joke.
All the kids at home will understand.
Their parents definitely did. Their parents definitely got it. I'm sure. These kinds of adult references are kind of what helps. Not like this is a unique thing to My Little Pony in any respect, but these references did help adult fans be like, oh, I know
Oh, I get that.
You know, it's A-Team. It's A-Team, yeah.
It's A-Team.
Mm-hmm.
As previously established in the Griffin episode, seemingly only Pinkie cares about Fluttershy.
Rainbow Dash does tell Twilight. She does question Twilight's leadership decision several times as to bringing Fluttershy with. She questions it before she leaves, and they're like, "Are you sure you want to bring Fluttershy? 'Cause she's kind of useless, just like generally speaking."
It's such a funny like rewrite later on that they add in that Fluttershy and Rainbow Dash were friends since they were kids.
I don't think it's a rewrite. I mean, I don't know if they had this. Like, I don't know if that's in like the story Bible or whatever, because I haven't read it. But like, if we knew at that point, like the writers knew at that point that Fluttershy and Rainbow Dash have known each other for a long time, it's even more, I feel, in character Rainbow Dash to consistently like question why Fluttershy is here because she's known Fluttershy since she was like 5. Yeah. And she's like, Fluttershy has been useless her whole life.
Oh.
From my perspective, you know.
Rainbow
from Rainbow Dash's perspective,
greatest horse in the world.
Fluttershy is a useless scaredy cat who can't do shit. She can't fly very well. Like she can't speak up for herself. Like she's kind of just a useless lump from my perspective.
Oh.
And like it's cool that she does the animal thing or whatever. And you know we're friends and all. Like but we're not like I wouldn't go out on a limb for her. Is what I'm saying. Is me Fluttershy or me Rainbow Dash? I'm saying that.
It's me Rainbow Dash.
She basically tells Twilight this at the before they set off. He's like, "Are you sure you want Fluttershy to be here? Because she's probably just gonna slow us down and be generally useless." And Twilight's like, "Nah, she'll be fine. She'll get over it. She'll get over it, man. It's cool."
Oh.
She got over it in the Twilight has a point because Fluttershy got over it in the Everfree Forest in episode 1 or episode 2.
That's true.
She got over it there. So from Twilight's perspective, she's like. Yeah,
we just have to put her in a situation.
Fluttershy will kick into gear when we put her in a situation. Like, I'm not worried about it. And then there's, like, several elongated minutes of Fluttershy not locking in when they're in situations. And every time it happens... What?
I zoned out in the middle of this episode.
Yeah, it's not really important. It's just filler stuff.
It's like, 10 to 15 minutes of them climbing the mountain.
Yeah, they climb the mountain a bunch. Fluttershy makes life difficult for everybody, and she gets a behind schedule. It doesn't really matter. And every time she sets them back, Rainbow Dash goes over to Twilight and was like, "I told you, dude. Like, I told you this was gonna happen." And Twilight's like, "I need her. I need her to be here. She has to be here.
I'm Twilight Sparkle. I'm smart.
She has to be here. I need her to talk to the dragon. Like this has to happen. There's no getting around this. It doesn't matter."
This is probably part of Twilight's neuroses about she has to be right.
Yeah. No, Fluttershy has to be here because my entire plan hinges on Fluttershy being here. So we can't back out on this. Pinkie does her song, hop, skip, and a jump song.
That's such a nothing song.
It's one of Pinkie's little season 1. I call them jingles. Where there's a couple of. I think I said this like a couple episodes ago. Like she does this really only in season 1, and then she just kind of drops the concept, or like the writers drop the concept that she just has these little songs on standby. She does it maybe 2 or 3 more times in this season. I don't remember one, but yeah, she does a little jingle. You can tell it's not a real song because it wasn't written by like one of the songwriters. Just Megan McCarthy just wrote. The way that I understand this song specifically is that Megan McCarthy wrote the song and it was sung, and then they made music to go with it after the fact. So it was just like a ditty that they did, and then they put some music in over top of it later, like in production.
Yeah. They get to the top of the mountain, and one by one they try to handle the dragon themselves.
Because Fluttershy won't do it.
Because Fluttershy won't do it. I
because she's scared of dragons.
Everyone else's is kind of just nothing. This
Rarity gets pretty far in there, huh?
This introduces Rarity's character flaw. She is greedy.
Yeah. She does. She gets pretty close to getting the dragon to piss off, and then she blows it by being like, "And by the way, I'll be eating all of your diamonds and gold because I love that shit." And the dragon's like,
I think it's funny as hell they made the element of generosity a greedy bitch.
It's so awesome, and that won't spawn any discourse regarding character traits in the future. You know, she was doing it for generous reasons. Yeah, that's all I've got. That's all I've got on that.
That's all I got.
Fluttershy does say that she's scared of dragons, and they all question the logic behind that. Is like, well, you're not scared of manticores. She's like, well, that's not a dragon. And like, well, you're not scared of Spike. And he's like, well, he's a baby dragon. And he's like, you're not scared. Get that away from me. And they're like, well, you're not scared of any other animals in the entire world except dragons. And she's like, yeah, it's just dragons. I'm just scared of dragons.
Which, to be fair, as a horse,
to be fair to her,
you should be afraid of dragons.
It's fine to be scared of a thing that looks like that dragon is like bigger than half of Ponyville. Like, it's fine to be scared of the dragon. The rest of you should be scared of the fucking dragon too.
Yeah.
Actually, Applejack does say we're all scared of the dragon, and then they do the bit that they've done like 10 times already in this season, where Rainbow Dash will be like, or Applejack will be like, well, we're all scared of this dragon, and we're all sorry that this happened. And Rainbow Dash will go, well, I'm not.
I'm not. I'm Rainbow Dash.
Rainbow Dash will go, I don't care. It's fucking funny every time. Also, early in the episode, Applejack does express confusion as to why a dragon is in Equestria, which does, for once, indicate that they do know what a fucking dragon is, and that dragons aren't supposed to be in their country at all. Like,
yes, they're
because they know, they must know to some extent that there is a population of dragons somewhere else that's not inside the confines of Equestria.
The blah 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 comic lore. The dragons made in a horde.
This will not be brought up again until season 6. Well, like, other dragons will show up in season 2, I think, prepubescent dragons. But like, adult-sized dragons and Dragon Society itself won't be present in the show for 6 seasons.
It's a lot.
When we get to Friendship is Magic fucking Grand Tour,
where they just go all over the planet.
And where are we in this episode?
They fucked up. The dragon is about to kill them.
The dragon is about to kill them because Dash punched it in the face.
She literally kicked it in the face and thought that was a good idea because she's Rainbow Dash.
She's like, I've had enough of this. I'm just gonna solve this with violence.
And she's right, but they aren't prepared.
It comes out of the cave and then it tries to kill them. And then Fluttershy has her big scene where she gets mad and she yells at the dragon, which is, again, basically setting the genetic blueprint for her character for the rest of time. Is that she's capable of these things, but usually she won't resort to it. And then the dragon cries. She says the words "bad dragon" on camera, which is funny. And they get the dragon to leave.
They get the dragon to leave by Fluttershy yelling at it.
The moral of the story... Twilight writes a letter to Celestia that the moral of the story is to not give up on your friends, I think, is her takeaway from that. The takeaway from this episode, actually, is that if you have some sort of indispensable skill, people will have to put up with the fact that you're neurotic. If you have a very valuable specialist skill that requires that you be around and that people can't replace you because you're the only person who can do it, they are required to put up with your personality disorder. They have to.
When she was yelling at the dragon, posed an even better lesson that they could give to kids, which was, just because you're bigger doesn't mean you should hurt others.
Yeah, that was a pretty good one too. He was like, well, fucking Rainbow Dash punched me in the face. And you're like, and she's like, well, you're bigger than her, and you should know better. It's like, oh yeah, that's a good point.
And then Twilight didn't take that as the lesson. Just don't lose faith in your friends.
Don't lose faith. I don't think they really lost faith in her necessarily. She literally refused to participate. Like, that's not their fault.
Yeah.
They couldn't deal with it. Like, what was she supposed to do? What were they supposed to do? Like, force her to go in there? The moral of the story is that if you have an indispensable... The moral of the story is that if you're a weird person or you have some sort of personality disorder, learn a skill that is so valuable that they can't fire you.
Oh.
And people will have to put up with you. That's the moral of the story.
Me at my old office job.
Exactly.
Me at my old office job when I could, like, write up fucking over 200 words a minute or some shit. And like, well, we can't fire her.
We need her. We can't fire Fluttershy from being the generosity, the element of kindness.
Yeah.
Because we need her.
We
be the
need
element
her.
of kindness. We need her. She's the only one who can yell at dragons.
It's such... I won't say it's a nothing episode because it introduces
It's-
Fluttershy stuff. It's just, eh.
It's a very simple episode. A lot of the middle of the episode is just a lot of kind of just like, you know, visual gags or just like it's really just kind of like the scenario of just like a bad thing happens, we're losing faith in Fluttershy. Other bad things happen, we're losing faith in Fluttershy. It's just like to nail home that point, and so it's. I mean, really the point of the episode is the subversion, right? Like at the end, not to get like the subversive about it, but like the subversion that Fluttershy is capable of, like getting at a dragon's face and yelling at it and getting it to back down. That's like the whole point of the episode, is that like subversion exists in Fluttershy.
Yep.
It's a fine episode. It's a perfectly fine episode.
This next episode is considered by the fandom like the best episode of season 1.
It's considered by God himself to be the best episode of season 1 because it's true. You know, I actually forgot a lot of this episode when I was rewriting, or when I was rewatching it today. I didn't remember just like the nitty gritty of it. This episode is somewhat similar to, the last to Flutter to Dragonshy, in that the middle of the episode is kind of just like the same thing 5 times to get the point across. And then it's like the beginning and the end that matter the most. But this is the Rara Jack episode.
This is the very first Rara Jack episode. Look Before You Sleep.
Written by Charlotte Fullerton, who will be a somewhat infrequent name, but she will appear several times down the road in terms of episode writing. She also worked on Ben 10 Omniverse.
Ooh, I didn't know that.
I looked her up because I didn't recognize her name.
That's one of the seasons I didn't watch.
It's fine. It's a good season. It's good enough. Apparently, she did some work on Power Rangers in the '90s too.
Everyone.
I don't know.
Every writer of
Everybody's
children's
just
cartoons worked on Power Rangers. So we begin with they're taking down some branches because the storms are brewing.
Right. This episode again mentions that they manually control and schedule the fucking weather.
We see it earlier, but this is like the first time they clarify that Pegasi control the weather.
Yeah, that they control they can't just touch or move clouds, but they can they manually schedule and control when it rains. They missed a rain shower last week, and so they have to make a fucking crazy ass storm this week.
Which
to make up for it, because I guess
Rainbow Dash was lazy.
Oh yeah, Rainbow Dash fucked up. They didn't want to. Applejack didn't want to name drop her in this episode, but it was definitely her fault somehow. I guess that's required for crops, that they need to have scheduled rain.
I mean, yeah.
Because otherwise, it's like, why would you even make it rain if you don't have to? Like,
I mean, yeah, plants need water.
Plants need that water. But apparently, if you miss a week of rain, it translates to a torrential downpour next week.
Oh, you know.
You know, I don't control the weather, so what would I know?
What would I know? It begins with, of course, Applejack and Rarity arguing because that is their that is everyone's relationship until later in season 1 and beginning of season 2.
Uh-huh. This is the first time really that we've seen them butting heads with each other, I think. I think that's right. I don't think they've really spoken too terribly much before then on camera. They obviously know, like, if anything, this argument that they have implies that they are familiar enough with each other to know what about each other pisses them off. Because they have very pointed and specific complaints about each other that very clearly indicate that they've known each other for a while, long enough time that they, you know, have these like feelings about each other.
I'm still not used to season 1 Applejack's voice.
It's still a little bit off. We're getting there though. Every episode we get a little bit closer, I think, which just sounds like later. They get in each other's faces about because Rarity is basically just fucking around instead of doing what she's supposed to be doing and taking these tree branches down so the storm doesn't make property damage. And Applejack gets in her face about it, and then Rarity gets like within an inch of calling her a dirt pony, I think.
She almost calls her a slur?
She gets very...
Rarity does say, I think someone's about to say something they're about to regret.
Yeah, like she was about to call her some sort of earth slur. Tried to get out of doing... I have to leave. I have to walk away from you before I call you something.
And then the storm happens.
And then they get caught in the storm. Because it starts, I guess, early, or they ran late. And they're both like, well, fuck you. I'm out of here. I'm going back home. And then it starts thundering. And then they get scared. And then they, like, end up at Twilight's house. Because I guess Twilight's house was, like, right there.
Twilight invites them in, and this is the whole episode, where they spend the whole episode inside Twilight's house.
Yeah, this is a real locked room. I guess the implication here is that, especially for Applejack, Sweet Apple Acre's way too far away for her to make it there in this kind of a storm. Yeah, and Rarity's boutique is probably on the other side of town. If I had to imagine, like, the implication seems to have been that, like, the two of them are too far away from their respective homes to make it back, like, without potentially, I guess, risking their lives in a storm like this.
It's like, yeah, you can walk in the rain, but neither of them have like rain gear, and also there could be lightning and branches that can hit them.
Yeah, there is lightning. There is lightning going on, and there was, like, as the beginning of the episode, there is concerns about potential property damage. Which again, why are we scheduling a fucking storm this powerful? That could cause property damage.
Why would they ever schedule a hurricane?
Why are you guys doing that? Because then, isn't that defeat the isn't a rainstorm that intense? Wouldn't that potentially damage crops?
Yeah, like, if they control the weather, like, natural disasters should not happen in this world.
No, probably not. I don't think they do. This is just a particularly strong storm because they skipped. Why didn't they just instead of making one really powerful storm, why didn't they just make a normal storm that went on twice as long?
Because Rainbow Dash is head of the weather committee and she planned this.
Because Rainbow Dash is a moron.
She was like, yeah, we'll just make a really big storm.
Uh-huh. But, yeah. Twilight invites them in, go ahead.
Twilight is weirdly written this episode.
She had a concussion.
She is not in... I think it's cute. I think it's very cute. But it's not...
funny. She gets a concussion later. It's not normal for her.
It's not written in line with how she's portrayed earlier. I wrote
as a note here that Twilight is so excited to have a slumber party, a sleepover. Yeah. Because when the idea is broached, it's like, oh, Applejack and I are not going to be able to make it home in this storm. You know, it's dangerous, right? Mm-hmm. It's like driving in a storm. Like, you can do it, but you shouldn't. You don't have to go home because you can stay here with me because we're friends, you know? Twilight is so excited about it. She pulls out a book that she had.
I consider it growing pains of her trying to be more friendly and not so introverted.
Yeah, it is. It's funny, actually. I wrote this as well. Twilight mentions that she's always wanted to have a sleepover, mm-hmm. which Nash is a little bit against the idea that she didn't really give a shit about having friends until very recently.
She didn't care about having friends growing up.
But I think she's a fake I don't give a fucker, I think.
Yeah.
No, I think it's even this like Twilight's not a cold-hearted person or like she's not like she's introverted and shy, but like well not really any more shy. In fact, she's too brazen, if anything. She's a very naturally introverted person. I guess that's not really she's not really naturally introverted. I think she just became introverted because she ended up isolating herself when like her brother moved away. And she's just an introvert. She's autistic.
Her brother moved away. Her babysitter became God.
Her babysitter became God. She didn't have really any friends her age, and then she was just like naturally separated from other people because of her tutelage with Celestia.
Yep.
Which is probably what Celestia realized after a certain point. That's why she was like, I'm ruining this pony's life. If I don't get her out there and socialize, she's going to become some sort of insane person.
She's going to become my evil archvizier.
Yeah, she's going to become some sort of insane person. But I think it's realistic to say that, like, Twilight has, entertained the idea, like, over the course of her relatively lonely young adolescence, she probably was, like, wishing she had friends at some points, I wish I had friends, I wish I could have a sleepover, stuff like that. I don't think it's unnecessarily, like, I don't think it's, like, out of the question that she would think things like that, but it's also funny that she clearly shuns other people, like, in episode 1, with, like, do you want to hang out with us? No, fuck off.
It's...
to be fair to her, she had something really important going on at that exact moment. But, like...
Yeah.
It's funny. I don't think the two things... I think Twilight Sparkle contains multitudes is the thing.
Yeah.
But she's so excited about the idea of having a sleepover
and
that she just gets really giddy about it and stops paying attention.
It's her first sleepover and she's so excited. And if any one of them leaves, she'll kill herself right in front of them.
And she will kill her. So that's basically what Rarity says to Applejack. Yeah. Applejack's out of the room when Twilight starts getting excited about this. She comes back and she's like, what the fuck is going on in here? And Rarity's like, listen to me. She like pulls her aside. She's like, listen to me. This is Twilight's first sleepover. Okay? This is like a critical thing for her as like a mental development into a like stable human being, horse person, little pony. If we fuck this up for her, she might kill herself or us.
Or
for all we know. It would be very bad if we f this up for her. As her friends, we are both her friends, even if we don't like each other. We're both her friends, and it would be very terrible of us to fuck this up for her when this is clearly something she's really she's so excited for it, she's acting out of character.
Literally.
That's how excited she is for this. Like, you don't fuck this up. And Applejack's like, I'm not going to fuck it up.
You're gonna fuck
it up, but I'm not going to fuck it up. It's just like, okay.
Applejack was like a second away from breaking Rarity in half this whole episode.
She exercised an insane self-control to not break her like a twig and throw her out the window.
We go through many sleepover cliches because that was written in the book.
Yep.
And I wrote down for this segment of the episode. This episode spawned a lot of memes.
Yep.
And
there's a lot of good meme faces in this one.
The animators had fun with this episode.
Mm-hmm. I think they were, because it's like they're in one, like, for lack of a better term, set, and there's only 3 characters to animate. Spike's also not around.
Spike is not in this episode, by the way.
Spike is conveniently out in Camelot on royal business, is what Twilight says. I think they were able to do a lot more with like expressions and like movement and stuff because they were literally only animating 3 characters with static background. Like, no crazy shots, no action sequences, or like whatever. Hey, yeah, that's a good one. I remember these ones.
Yep.
Ooh. I think any time that they stand on their hind legs is a meme back then, because it was always pretty funny to look at them. Their big, stupid marshmallow hooves.
They're silly.
Also, you know what? I want to say for the record here, I wrote this down. I think that Applejack So at the beginning, like when they come in, Applejack tries to like walk into Twilight's home, and her hooves are muddy. And Rarity's like, "Wash your damn feet, boy."
Wash your damn feet.
I don't think Applejack wouldn't do that because I know Granny Smith would beat her ass if she brought mud into her damn kitchen. I know
she is a Southern girl.
Granny Smith would beat her fucking ass. If she walked into that damn house with her muddy boots on, she would beat her ass crazy. I know
this was instilled in her.
I know it for a fact. And so I don't think that's in character for Applejack, but that's fine. And especially in somebody else's home. Applejack is very familiar with the concepts of hostility or hospitality.
Yep.
And the social rules of a home, because she's a Southern girl. They're all Southern girls, actually. Rarity just doesn't.
They're all Southern girls. They live in a Southern Hotik town.
They live in a fucking bum ass town. Like Rarity, they frame it mostly correctly in this episode. Like Applejack and Rarity's like beef with one another. It's just that Applejack doesn't like the way that Rarity acts. It's nothing to do with like manners or like cleanliness or anything like that. Applejack is just as cleanly and has correct manners as most anybody else.
I can guarantee you, if Rarity didn't point it out, Applejack would have wiped her hooves herself.
She was gonna do it herself. That's like what's pissing her off about Rarity, is that Rarity's like jumping the gun on thinking that Applejack is some kind of slob. Because she doesn't like the kind of like, she doesn't like the country aesthetic that Applejack is going on. Yeah. And Applejack sees Rarity as like a fucking like obnoxious prude because she doesn't like the like city, fashion aesthetic that she has going on. They're aesthetically clashing.
Living and growing up in this town.
They both lived and grown up in the same town. Like they're neighbors. They both live here. They've always been neighbors. Like they know each other. They've known each other. They probably went to school together.
They probably did.
They're the same fucking age. Anyway, I wrote a note also that Twilight doesn't know how to have fun without following specific instructions from a book.
She needs a checklist.
She's never had fun before. She doesn't know how to do it.
She's never had fun in her life.
She has a checklist because she doesn't have any fun, and Spike's not here to like reality check her, Yeah.
Be
like, hey, you're acting insane, Like you're acting like an insane person.
It's so funny how many times they use Spike as like, hey, big sis, you need to calm down.
Spike is that's why I like Spike, despite everything stupid about Spike in some seasons and episodes.
Yeah.
Spike is like Twilight's like rock of like fucking reality checking, and it's so funny because especially when he's not around and Twilight just gets like neurotic. When Spike gets distracted because he's 5.
Yeah.
The season 2 episode, which one is it? The one where she basically ends up trying to manufacture a problem. No, the time travel episode.
Yeah, the time travel episode.
Spike gets distracted by like eating ice cream and doesn't reality check Twilight at any point, and she just goes fully unhinged because he's not there to like reel her back into objective reality. He's important. He plays an important role in her life.
These two grew up together. He is normal, she is not.
He is normal despite the fact that Twilight raised him. He is that's why he's around. That's why he's Twilight's assistant and her brother. Yeah. Because without him, she will burn buildings down. Literally. She will burn Ponyville to the ground if Spike isn't there to be like, hey, you're acting insane.
Hey,
you need to calm down. You gotta calm down, dude. Anyway, after a couple of rounds of Rarity and Applejack doing these cliched, sleepover things, Twilight starts to catch on that they're both like one infraction away from completely crashing out. But she doesn't say anything really about it. She's like,
until it's time to sleep, and I too would have gotten mad if I couldn't sleep.
She put them in the same bed.
Oh no! We're in a sleepover. There's only 2 beds.
Was that? It's just like, okay, well, You guys have fun with that. And then they both crash out over that, and then she blows up at them for making her sleepover not fun because they're too busy arguing with each other. And then they argue about whose fault it is that they're arguing. And then what happens? A tree comes through the window. Oh, Applejack. What the hell? Applejack, in a rare display of absolute fucking stupidity, a lightning strikes a tree nearby, and Applejack is like, I gotta use my lasso that I keep on me at all times.
All times.
I gotta use my lasso that I keep on me at all times to open Twilight's bedroom window, lasso the tree, and then bring down the tree so that it, like a controlled fall, so it doesn't cause property damage. Except that she decides to controlled fall it straight into Twilight's house.
You know.
Because she's an idiot? She was not operating on all cylinders.
Again, this is like, oh, Applejack's just stupid.
Sometimes she is stupid. You know what? I'll admit, I think I wrote a note here actually, is that I'm starting to realize AJ is stupider than I remember being. Sometimes she is dumb. Sometimes she gets the best of her. Ooh.
A little bit.
She runs a tree through Twilight's house, and at this point, I think Twilight got a concussion from the tree.
Where she's like,
I think
there's nothing in my book about this.
I think the tree hit Twilight in the head, and she got a concussion because she just pulls out her book about sleepovers and starts frantically leafing through it, trying to find like a solution to the fact that there's a tree sticking out of her window. In her
Twilight says
nothing. Just nothing.
In my notes, I wrote down. Twilight says, "Is there anything else that could go wrong?" And then I wrote down, "Celestia, far away in Canterlot. Sure, I can cause a lightning strike to ruin your life."
I can do that for. I'll teach you a fucking lesson.
Yeah.
Rarity must have some. I think Rarity's also neurotic in some kind of way. She must have something going on up there too.
Rarity shows she maybe has OCD.
She might have some OCD going on there because she is just ignoring the tree in the room to like pick up books and stuff. Mm-hmm. And Applejack is like, "What the fuck are you doing? Help me with this tree, man!" And she just doesn't respond to it at all. Like she's like just completely engrossed in like picking up books for like no reason.
Yeah.
And then Applejack apologizes and basically begs for her help, and that like snaps Rarity out of it. Be like, "Oh, yes, we should help. We should do something." She uses magic. She uses the magic she used at the beginning of the episode that makes tree branches into little pony kudzu.
Little bonsai ponies.
Little pony bonsai trees. She does that, and they fix it, and they close the window. And Twilight is still insane. And she's like, "What happened?
What happened?
What are all these things doing in my house?"
They need to take her to a hospital.
Like we had to write Twilight out of that scene because she's like so proficient with magic. She would have just solved the problem herself.
She would have just teleported the tree out her house.
Yeah. They learn some kind of lesson.
I
don't really know what the lesson to be learned
I did not
is.
pay attention to the lesson.
I don't know what Twilight actually said the lesson was because I didn't pay attention to that either, to be honest. The lesson really, my takeaway is that the two of them, so like it flashes forward to like the next morning. They're like they were able to get through the night. Twilight or AJ and Rarity have like relaxed around each other finally. Twilight is happy that they're getting along with each other more or less now. They're still arguing, but they're clearly having a good hit. And I think this really is just the point of the episode. The two of them is that they've realized that they keep butting heads with each other because they enjoy doing it.
And
like they like arguing with each other, and they want to fuck. They start to learn to appreciate each other's perspectives on life in their own kind of ways without trying to subject the other to what they believe is correct. They learn to coexist, and they like to argue.
Okay, I looked it up. That is the lesson. Embrace each other's differences.
Okay, there you go. I came to it naturally. I came to that conclusion naturally. The moral of the story is Yuri.
The moral of the story is Yuri. What if a small town girl and another small town girl who pretended she wasn't a small town girl got together?
What if an apple farmer, a girl who's too embarrassed to tell people who her family is, really started to get to know each other?
Yeah.
It's Yuri. It's the Yuri.
It's the first Yuri episode of the series, I would say.
First Yuri episode, I would say. This spawned quite a lot of Yuri slash fic, as we used to call it, I believe.
We did call it slash fic
whatever
back in the day.
Slash fic. A lot of Rarejack slash fic was born out of this episode. The episode itself, I think, is not really that particularly notable, like on its own. Like knowing where here is fun, and there's lots of better Rarejack episodes later in the show. But that's true for pretty much every episode of season 1.
Mm-hmm.
Is that like most of the episodes of season 1 aren't as good as what later episodes will revisit the concepts, build off of what they established. Like Ghostbusters is not a great episode, but what follows after Ghostbusters, the next time Trixie shows up, is a good episode, and we can only get that episode because we did that season 1 setup.
It's a shame Rarejack kind of fell behind compared to Apple Dash.
To you, maybe.
To me, maybe.
To you, maybe.
To me,
I don't know. I didn't
right.
watch the rest of the. I didn't watch later seasons of the show.
I do think Rarejack is very good.
It's the best. It's classic. You can't beat it.
You can't.
What if there was a city girl and a country girl?
Except
You
the
can't
city
beat
girl's
that.
also a country girl.
Except the city girl's also a country girl. There's a lot of very compelling things about Applejack and Rarity, because the point that they make with the two of them over and over and over is that despite how much of a difference feel that they have on a surface level, they're actually really similar people. They're both older sisters. They both take their work very seriously. They have similar work ethics. Like, they're very similar people despite having like outward aesthetic differences. That's what's compelling about them as a ship. And also because one of them is a country girl and the other is not.
Butch and Femme solidarity.
And also this is Butch and Femme solidarity. That goes without saying.
That goes without saying.
It depends. Your preference in Applejack ship really just depends if you like Butch Femme or if you like Butch
Yep.
more. You know, because then that would be Rarejack. I mean,
Apple Dash.
Rainbow Apple Dash. Jesus, it's like jacking off.
Apple jacking off, am I right?
Apple jacking off. Apple Dash has its moments. I'm not gonna pretend it doesn't.
Mm-hmm.
But I've always found it to be less long-term compelling than Rarejack, personally speaking.
It is funny whenever they fight.
It is funny whenever they fight, but anyway, that's what was that episode called? Look before you sleep.
Look before you. Wow, we are blitzing through these way faster.
We're blitzing through it. Well, these episodes are, so they're not shorter, but
I think
I
we're
don't know.
getting
I always
better
get it
at.
wrong.
I think we're getting better at stating our thoughts on the episode.
Yeah, we're getting better at this, and we're getting better at like running the recap super quick instead of like a beat by beat. I think last week we went on for pretty long because there was lots of like side quest shit to talk about. These episodes are pretty straightforward.
We are gonna have a side quest shit with this next episode.
All right, now, yeah,
You
this is where our time sync is gonna go. Bridal gossip.
Yeah.
What?
This is you do the extra.
Season 1, episode 7, Bridal Gossip, which is a pun on the term idle gossip. Most of these episodes are puns, by the way, or wordplay. This was written by Amy Keating Rogers, again, a long-term writer on the show. This is the racism episode. That's word for word what I wrote on my first line of notes.
Here.
This is the racism episode.
This is the racism episode.
I want to say this episode is infamous, but it's really not. I mean, 2011 was a long time ago and was a different time. I don't think that what happens in this episode I don't know how to explain this. To understand the point of this episode, I understand what they were trying to do. It's a very simple lesson. The moral of the story is they literally say it out loud, is to don't judge a book by its cover.
Yes.
Because the episode is that everybody thinks that Zecora is scary and evil because she looks different than them. And she's not. She's very nice, and she's
very
kind
nice.
and helpful. And that in itself, not necessarily a bad moral. It's a great moral to teach children. The problem with this episode is that the reason that the ponies think that Zecora is scary and evil is because she's African.
Yeah.
Like, Zecora is a zebra. For those of you who haven't watched the episode or don't remember, I don't know why you wouldn't. Zecora is a zebra, which is a different species entirely. In fact, none of them are actually familiar with zebra. Twilight has only read about zebras, and she's never actually seen one before. Zecora speaks in an African accent. She also speaks in rhymes, which is kind of fun.
Her entire character trait.
She speaks in an African accent because she is a zebra, which is of course an African animal. She's wearing, I should have looked it up and I forgot to, the like golden rings that are part of African culture. Elena has them in Street Fighter as well, but unfortunately I don't remember what they're called. And her home also has prominently like
a lot
African
of memorabilia.
masks. A lot of it, unmistakably, inarguably, Zecora and her like zebra culture, which we're introduced to through the concept of Zecora, is clearly based directly on African culture, like native African culture, which makes the fact that the ponies, the protagonists of the show, spend the majority of the episode fearful and hateful towards her because of these things, is really bad. It's really racist, like in real life racist, right? Like, it's there. Whether or not, it doesn't matter in meta, are they being racist to Zecora? Yes, they are, because she's a different race than them. Like, it's a bad idea to do this kind of a plot with a character who is so heavily based on a real world culture, especially African culture. This was 2011. It's a different time. It was not acceptable then. What's that, like, Warner Brothers thing before, like, old racist Looney Tunes cartoons that are like, this wasn't acceptable then, but it's still not acceptable now. But we're going to present it in the way that it... Yeah, I don't think anybody's ever taken that with that level of, like, severity in terms of this episode. I don't think it necessarily has. But I think really everybody would really rather sooner just forget this episode exists than talk about it.
Which is funny. This was the first ever episode I ever watched to the series.
Oh Jesus! This was
my first episode when I watched it on the hub.
Well, you caught it on TV. Well, Apple Bloom is cute in this episode.
We begin with Twilight Sparkle saying, "Wow, what a beautiful day!" And Tara Strong is not doing the Twilight Sparkle voice.
She did sort of forget to do it in that line. She just kind of did her normal, like they just took a take where she didn't quite do the voice right.
This is her normal, Tara Strong's normal speaking voice.
Twilight Sparkle's voice kind of fluctuates back and forth over the years between a higher pitch and just sort of Tara Strong's normal speaking voice. She sort of settles into a level with that later that's more closer to her normal speaking voice than like Twilight's season 1 voice, I think. Probably just because it's easier to do over long periods of time.
We find out the entire town is hiding. And Twilight, as a newcomer, doesn't understand why.
Pinky sees her and she pulls her into what's that place called?
Sugar
Cube Corner. Jesus. She pulls her into Sugar Cube Corner and they explain to her that everybody is scared of Zecora, the mysterious, scary person.
And they don't know what a zebra is.
It comes into town every so often. You can see Zecora outside digging into the ground. They don't actually explain why she was doing that. It doesn't really matter why she was doing that because it's not a reason to be suspicious. Anyway, she's like mulling around town in a cloak, so you can't really see her. Takes off the hood, and it's revealed to the audience that she's a zebra. Rarity makes a disingenuous remark about her stripes,
Yeah.
which is racist, and Twilight explains that her stripes are not a fashion choice. She's born with those stripes because she's a zebra, and Rarity expresses disgust at that.
And we are
nobody-
introduced. Go ahead.
Sorry, nobody knows what a zebra is. They've never even heard of a zebra before. Which is similar to, I guess, how in an earlier episode, Pinkie Pie did not know what a griffin was. It's, I guess, the same thing. I feel like this was a little stupider because ponies and zebras are so close in, like, makeup, but I guess they live
They're
a
the
really
same
far
genus.
way away. They must live somewhere very far away. In fact, we actually never see Zeccora's homeland at all in any of the 9 seasons.
The fandom created the name for the nation she's from, which is Zebrica.
Right.
It is never officially
And-
given a name.
They are, I suppose, until that very moment, under the implication that Zecora is a pony.
They think she's a pony. They think she's a
They
weird-looking
think
pony.
she thinks she's a weird-looking pony. Zecora's face, she's taller and a bit more filled out than ponies are, and her face is a bit more horse-like, for lack of a better term, than ponies are. She has a more distinct, like, equine face, kind of like how. No, not really how Big Mac looks. I was gonna say he kind of almost looks like a horse. She looks like an equine.
I like her design
more so than the ponies, than the ponies who have their sort of rounded little Jello faces. They're all scared and distrustful of her because they think she's a witch or something because she lives. Now, this part I almost kind of get because they tell Twilight that she lives in the Everfree Forest.
She
which
lives
is a
in the
place-
fucked up monster zone.
Which is a place of cultural taboo, especially to those who live in Ponyville, because it's not natural. It is an evil place to them. Like, it is a forbidden, evil, scary place to ponies because the weather moves on its own, the plants grow on their own, and nature works on its own without pony interference, which to them is strange and alien and uncomfortable. And so the fact that somebody would choose to live there willingly is to them, suspicious. And I get that part. And I feel like we could have gotten away with that on its own if not for all the African stuff, but whatever.
This is...
They don't really ever explain... Sorry, go on. They don't really explain that.
Yeah, they don't.
Well, I was going to say that they don't ever really explain why Zecora lives there, or how she got here in the first place, or like what she's doing here.
Out of all the supporting cast, Zecora unfortunately never gets an episode to herself.
I think that is probably because this episode was so poorly received.
Maybe.
I think that I would probably wager that the poor reception, presumably, I don't know if there was like, I wouldn't really say there was like a backlash to this episode because I don't think enough people were watching.
There was a lot
of
of articles written about this episode.
Oh, really? Okay, there was backlash.
That made public.
Okay, so there was a lot of backlash. Let me change my stance then. As I may have suspected, there was a lot of backlash to this episode because it is very racially insensitive. That's at best.
I would like to point out, neither V nor myself are black, but
no. So I'm speaking from a pony perspective here.
yes.
My presumption is, well, Zecora would continue to be a relatively infrequent supporting cast member. She show up, I don't know, once every season, maybe once every other season. She does not show up a lot. She really does not.
She is only there to be Twilight's mentor when Celestia isn't around.
Yeah, or in a couple of Cutie Mark Crusader episodes, because
Also
Apple
that.
Bloom and her are friends. But I have always been under the assumption that Zecora got kind of shafted by like production because the backlash to this episode was so bad that it scared them off from trying to do anything with Zecora again.
Mm-hmm.
I think they could have done it, and I think it would have been fine as long as they remained
Which
respectful.
Is funny because for the other racism episode with the buffalo, they got a sensitivity consultant for that episode.
And that guy must have been grifting them because that episode sucked.
And when I researched this episode, I could not find any sensitivity consultant for this episode.
because the sensitivity consultant probably would have told him to take the whole episode out back and shoot it. I imagine. That's what I would have done. Yeah, my assumption has always been that it's like how Brayburn basically never shows up again.
Mm-hmm.
These plots are not referenced as much as humanly possible because they were afraid that the backlash would resurface if they did another Zecora episode or whatever exactly. I don't think they had to be that cautious about it, frankly, and I think it really robbed the show of an opportunity to kind of overwrite that bad first impression with Zecora with something better. But you know, it is what it is. I also think they didn't use Zecora very often because writing her dialogue is really hard.
Because she speaks in rhymes.
Because she only speaks in rhymes. She does not speak normally, for lack of a better term. She does not speak like normal sentences. She only speaks in rhymes, which is fun and interesting, but not very sustainable, especially if you're going to have a character like in a whole episode. It's probably also why they never bothered to introduce any other zebra, because then they would have to try to answer the question: do they all speak like that, or is it just the Yoda question? Really?
That Yoda's a freak and everyone else in his species is normal.
Yeah, and also because if you introduce two zebras, the difficulty of writing their dialogue goes up exponentially, especially if they talk to each other.
They both.
So
They use Zecora a bit more in the comics, and even in the comics, she makes a joke. Yeah, I'm just not gonna say this in rhyme because I can't think of a rhyme.
Fucking awesome. She chooses to talk like that.
This is Apple Bloom's first major speaking role.
Yes! We are formally introduced to Applejack's little sister, Apple Bloom, who was called Apple Blossom right up until like the last minute, by the way.
Yep.
It's some publications or like episode guides accidentally print. I think maybe one or two pieces of merch still had that name on them. But her name is Apple Bloom, not Apple Blossom. Yep. Applejack's little sister, Apple Blossom, who she's very protective of. This episode, by the way, also establishes that Applejack is the middle child. Later in this episode, she does threaten to tell on Apple Bloom to Big Mac, which implies he's the oldest of the three of them.
Yep.
Which is just funny.
Even though she's the matriarch of the family.
Even though again, you know what? That doesn't make sense because again, we have a female society here. It doesn't matter. It's a throwaway line. It doesn't matter.
It's a throwaway line for a joke.
We establish Apple Bloom's character as being very rebellious, for lack of a better term.
And she does this throughout most of her appearances.
She's a pretty rebellious girl, I'd say. That does seem to be her character trait. She's very rebellious because she's the youngest of three. She loves her sister and she loves her brother, and she usually does what they tell her to. But she's
she wants to
young and she's growing. She wants to grow up. She doesn't like being treated like a little girl. But she doesn't like being treated little by Applejack. And so a lot of the time, a lot of her plots will start because she feels like belittled by her age, or being a blank flank, or whatever, which we still haven't established yet, by the way.
We haven't established that slur yet.
And so the other five of the main six are trying to get Twilight to buy into their racist groupthink stuff about Zecora, and Twilight is like,
no.
Have you guys ever actually seen her? Like,
or even spoken to her?
Have you guys ever seen her do anything evil? Like, have you seen her cast curses or anything? And they're like, no. And just ever talked to her at all? Like, at all? No. Maybe you guys are overreacting because she's like, there's not. I'm sure there's a logical explanation for all the like things that you think that are weird that she's doing, that she does, right? And they're like, no, Twilight, she's evil. And Apple Bloom is like, Applejack says something, and it makes Apple Bloom mad because she feels like she's being belittled. And then she goes out to try to talk to Zecora herself. Who's like, I'll go talk to her, and I'll determine if she's evil or whatever.
I'm Apple Bloom.
And I'm Apple Bloom. I've got a big bow on my head. My head is too big for my body. Yeah. And she goes out there and follows Zecora all the way back to the Everfree Forest where she lives. And then the main six come to save her from Zecora. Apple Bloom does not actually work up the nerve to talk to Zecora because she's, despite what she said, she is a bit frightened by Zecora because of all the bullshit her siblings have been telling her. And then they all step in a weird blue flower.
A weird blue stinky flower that Zecora says to watch out for.
She says, "Don't step in that." She says it in rhyme, so they don't really understand what she's saying. And then they all go home. Apple Bloom doesn't step in it, but
yes,
and they all go home. And then
they wake up the next day to being magically transformed.
Twilight has horn erectile dysfunction.
Twilight has a weird floppy horn.
And also it's got spots on it. I also forgot Twilight gets like really offended by when they're curses. She gets really offended by the notion because
she's a special magic girl and curses are fake.
Special magic girl. And she's like, real magic. Well, she says it a couple of times, and I think she says this like every time they bring something like this. She's like, that's not how real magic works.
Because she takes pride in magic.
Yeah, because most of them don't really understand how magic works because they don't care. Rarity uses magic; she doesn't really care. It's just like an extension of like, it's just like moving your arm for her.
This is like a small like lore bit that the writers kind of do nothing with. That curses are artificial.
Yeah, well, there's no such thing as curses because they're not real at all.
Yeah.
There's like evil magic later, but like whatever the hell Discord does.
Whatever the fuck that shit is.
Zecora isn't casting curses because she's not capable of doing so because curses aren't real. Twilight is right. There is no such thing as curses.
Every other main six member is cursed with what affects them they would hate the most.
They turn her into a dog.
Rarity gets a really shaggy mane. Rainbow Dash can't fly. Fluttershy, I don't know if this is transphobic or not. She gets a guy's voice.
I don't know. I think it's just like the best joke they could come up with was like, well, Fluttershy has a really high-pitched voice, so what if she had a really deep voice?
Pinkie Pie can't talk, and Applejack loses her strength because she's small.
I thought the joke was that because Killing Joke heard her say that she was her big sister and made her small.
That could work too.
Whatever. Right?
Whatever.
Oh, also we skipped over Pinkie's Evil Enchantress song, but like the bad version.
Yeah,
we'll get to that.
We'll get to that. That is going to be the site that will lead into the fandom discussion segment.
That's our side quest for today. They all decide Zecora is responsible for this. Before that, Twilight goes to look for a cure, and she goes through all of her medical books or whatever, and she's like, none of this shit is in here. I don't know what this is. Spike pulls out a book that's like supernatural remedies or whatever, and she's like, that's fake shit, Spike. Get that crap out of my face.
Shit out my face.
Doesn't read the book. Everybody else comes in, and you find out what's wrong with them. They all decide that it's Zecora's fault, that the Zecora cursed them, and even Twilight's like starting to buy it.
She's buying into their racist tirade.
She's starting to buy into it. She's not all the way there yet, right? She's starting to buy into it. So they're like, okay, let's go to the Everfree Forest and confront Zecora and have her turn us back. Apple Bloom goes out ahead of them because she thinks it's her fault that this happened.
Yeah. Because
she's the one that got them into the Everfree Forest in the first place. She goes out on her own. Applejack tags along, like, secretly, and then she goes out on her own, and then Applejack is like, stop what you're doing, go back home. Apple's like, actually, you're 2 feet tall, like, you're like 1 inch tall, and you can't tell me what to do. And just, like, flings her onto a branch.
She leaves her on a tree branch. I wrote down, isn't she afraid, like, an owl's gonna eat Applejack or something?
Applejack can take care of herself.
Like, she's bird of prey could swoop down and eat Applejack.
Then Apple Bloom runs off. The scene transitions back to the other 4 or the other 5. They meet up with Applejack along the way, and they get to Zecora's hut, shack, home, whatever exactly you would like to call that. And again, they make disparaging comments about the African masks that are present here, which is bad.
Very, very racist comments.
I really don't know what they were thinking. It's hard to imagine what they were fucking thinking or why they thought this episode would be like okay to write. I can't believe. I don't want to make presumptions about Amy Keating Rogers. I can't believe she still had a job after this episode.
Oh,
This is the kind of episode that could not air today. This episode would not get written today.
this episode would not get written or get greenlit today.
I can't believe they approved this script. I cannot believe it. It's ridiculous how offensive this script is. Just on to anybody. To anybody.
Oh.
Anyway, they overhear. Also, they overhear. Oh god, this sucks so much. I didn't even think about this. They overhear Zecora, what they presume is chanting in what I presume is her language.
Yeah.
Which they
It's
is
just her voice actor. It's just reversing the words of her voice actors.
Oh, is that what it is? But she qualifies later that seems to like what she says later implies that was like the zebra's language.
Mm-hmm.
Which they react to negatively, which is also racist. Like they take that as one of like there's like a couple of things that happen while they're like spying on her through her window. She is evil, and it's like her chanting in a language Twilight doesn't know.
And she hears her say, "Hey, this soup is going to be great for Apple Bloom," and they think
and
she's
like,
going
oh God,
to eat Apple Bloom.
Eat Apple Bloom.
Oh,
And it's insane, right? And then Twilight finally buys into the group think here. Fucking breaks her door down, kicks her door in,
destroys her home.
destroys her home. Like Rainbow Dash does it because she can't stop herself from flying into everything.
Yeah.
So they violently break into her home and start yelling accusations at the woman with no proof, no real evidence. And like Zecora starts threatening them back because they broke into her home and started
Understandable.
yelling.
They broke into her house.
They broke into her house and started yelling racist things at her. Like, and then Apple Bloom comes back and then finally explains what is going on, which is that Zecora isn't an evil enchantress. She is in fact
Making a
a
cure
nice,
for them.
friendly. A doctor, I guess.
She's a doctor. She's an apothecary.
Yes, that's the word I was looking for. She handles herbs and medicines of various kinds. This is her role in many episodes later in the show as they come to her when they want some sort of
Natural remedy.
or some kind of potion of some kind. They come to her and ask for these things. Apple Bloom manages to defuse the situation, and to her credit, Twilight Sparkle does deeply and sincerely apologize for breaking into a woman's house and accusing her of being a cannibal. And Zecora, with the patience of a saint, forgives them and doesn't kill them.
And it explains how all the masks in her home are like from her native land, and how they're signs of greeting.
Oh yeah, it's like, and again, I get the point, right? Zecora does, because then Twilight's like, how did you know the cure for? Because Zecora explains that their symptoms are from laughing joke or poison joke. I mean, the blue flower they stepped in earlier in the episode, and Zecora explains that, and she's like, oh, I'm making the cure for you guys so you guys can go back to normal. And Twilight's like, how did you know this cure? I couldn't find it in any of my books. And Zecora shows her the book that she got the thing from, and it's the book, the Supernatural Remedies book that Twilight dismissed earlier in the episode as being bullshit.
Twilight voice, I know everything. Oh wait, I don't.
And that's also when Twilight again apologizes very profusely for her actions and for being a dickhead. And Zecora literally says out loud that you shouldn't judge a book by its cover, which is the moral of this episode. I understand the point. It comes across really poorly because of how it's portrayed. I don't think that Amy Keating Rogers is a racist. I think her intention, if anything, was the exact opposite of that.
Was to tell kids to not be racist.
I don't think the way that it was portrayed was especially appropriate. Um, and it also makes the main characters look really, really fucking bad.
Makes them look so bad. It's like
It isn't. It's not an appropriate way, I think, to show that to children.
I think if this
And it's
episode
hard to sit through.
were to I've been making a list, a full watch list of Friendship is Magic. This episode is on the maybe list. Maybe watch it if you want to be introduced to Zecora and Apple Bloom, but you can skip it.
Yeah, you can be introduced to Apple Bloom later, like next 5 episodes anyway, with Cutie Mark Crusaders.
I think you can easily rewrite this episode in 2025 to not be racist.
All you have to do is just. I mean, I don't know. I don't dislike the idea that Zecora is like aesthetically based on, like, you know, African culture. I think it's
neat. I think
although
she's really
not
cool.
really
She
my
has a
place
really
to
cool
say.
design. I like it.
She has a nice design. I really like it. You know, it's cool that those things were in the episode, other than the fact that they were being disparaged by the main characters of the show. I don't think you could write this kind of episode. Like, I think the plot of this episode itself would have been fine if Zecora was not based so heavily on a real world culture, especially a real world culture that has been the target of racism for like all of human history. Like, you know, like I understand like what they were going for, but in practice it's a really difficult like sell, and it didn't go over very well at all. It did not go over well, as evidenced by multiple publications
I think
discussing this episode and its contents.
the easiest way you could rewrite this in 2025 is introduce Zecora as the solution to the problem. Like, they all step into Poison Joke just by themselves randomly, and they need to find something to cure them, and they happen to know about her.
Yeah,
It's
I think you could still get the like. I think that like you would have to. I think that the thing in this episode is you have to just remove the moral, not judging a book by its cover.
Yeah.
I think the plot of this episode on its own is relatively fine. But you know, without the moral, like, why does this episode even exist? If not just to introduce like Zecora and Apple Bloom, which is fine on its own. You could do that moral very easily some other kind of way that does not constitute what happened in this episode. You know, it is what it is. It was a long time ago. It's not a good episode necessarily.
It's pretty low. I like Zecora. I really like Zecora as a character. It's a
I like
shame
the character.
because of the backlash of this episode, she does not show up a lot.
No, I liked Apple Bloom in this episode. I like Apple Bloom a lot. Actually, she's my favorite Keymark Crusader.
Aw.
So I am looking forward to seeing more of her in you know, the coming episodes. This episode just wasn't that great. I've said the word racist like 400 times, which probably is way too many times to be saying that on a podcast about My Little Pony.
I mean, wait till we get to the Buffalo episode.
That episode is so terrible. That's so much terrible. That's so much worse in certain ways for a totally different kind of reason. Because the moral of the story, the solution to that conflict is so antithetical to history.
We will discuss it when we get to it.
Yeah, that's not for a couple of
That's
episodes
for like
from now.
2 more episodes from now.
Something like that, yeah. Yeah,
That's bridal gossip.
that's bridal gossip.
Can we
Also,
take
at the end of the episode, Twilight does like go back to explain to everybody that they need to stop being racist.
She
And
literally
the
says
next
that
time
to
we
all
sees the next time we see Zecora, it's never mentioned again. So, like, everybody stopped being racist.
we're gonna take a small break here, y'all, but I will be right back.
Yeah, I will be back in just as well.
Oh.
Everybody, be chill for a second. Okay, My Little Ponies. Um, yeah, that was a. That's like a bummer, like last episode of the batch to be on too, you know. And here's the episode that sucks and it's racially insensitive, like the other two episodes.
I'm back. That is sure of a bummer to leave off on, but we are now moving into the fandom segment of our podcast, which is we'll be discussing Eurobeat Brony / Odyssey Eurobeat.
Yay! Well, actually, I forgot to talk about it during the episode itself, but there's two renditions of the song "Evil Enchantress" in that episode. One is performed by Pinky, and it's kind of intentionally bad. The other is performed by Fluttershy when she has a deeper voice. It sounds a lot better, which is the whole reason for that joke in the first place.
Yeah.
Evil Enchantress is, for some reason, the first song that Eurobeat Brony Eurobeated. I don't know why.
Evil Enchantress is one of the first like major popular songs of the fandom.
Just the Fluttershy version, right?
I believe so.
Yeah, I think it's just because it was funny, like, because it was like out of, I don't know. So, for those of you who don't know, do you want to explain Eurobeat Brony?
Yes, Eurobeat Brony was one of the first standout musicians of the early fandom, like amongst Living Tombstone, Wooden Toaster, Black Griffin.
One of the most prominent, as well, still to this day, I think.
To this day.
Eurobeat Brony, also known as Eurobeat Odyssey or Kendra Blast, is as you may figure out on your own, a Eurobeat artist. She went under Eurobeat Brony during those times. She was still releasing under her other names as well, like non-pony stuff. You probably know her for Discord.
The Discord, I'm howling at the moon. The
that
fucking
one. Not that.
the song that became so famous, multiple fandoms used it.
The Eurobeat version is the original. I want to clear this up on everybody's back. The Eurobeat mix version is the original. The Living Tombstone remix, which was more popular, is in fact a remix. A remix. It's not actually the original version.
Living
Tombstone did not make that fucking song.
He stole it.
He didn't steal it. No, he made a remix.
He remixed
the song. A lot of people over the years have contributed that song to Living Tombstone himself. He did not make that song. That was Eurobeat Brony. Living Tombstone made a remix, a very good remix.
I like the original.
Good remix. I like the original more because I like Eurobeat. But yes, Eurobeat Brony was the original creator of that song. Living Tombstone made a remix that became more well known than the original version. But I just want to clear that up, everybody. Living Tombstone did not actually make that song. It is not Discord by Living Tombstone. It's and to be fair, like, there's no bad blood between Living Tombstone and Eurobeat Brony. I know this because they performed together at like a con like last month.
They performed together
friends.
On the regular.
They are friends. They are friends. And Living Tombstone has tried to go very far out of its way to clarify as much as humanly possible. He did not create that song. He just created the remix. I think if you go to the remix, it does say now, like, it's very clear in like the title of the video or whatever that this version, because that was a lot. There was a lot of confusion for some reason.
She made like one or two off songs, and then made a compilation album called Super Pony Beat,
which is a parody of Super Eurobeat, which is a series compilation album of Eurobeat. Just in case you guys don't know, I don't know how many of you actually know everything about Eurobeat. I don't know that much.
You can purchase her music now. I'm just about to link it in chat.
You can purchase her music now. Please support transgender artists during Pride Month. Also, fun fact: Eurobeat Brony again now. Odyssey Eurobeat is a VTuber.
Yes.
She's a VTuber. She'll be performing at Offkai soon. She's a VTuber like us. Actually, I'm Twitter mutuals with her.
Yeah, I was about to say you're mutuals with her on Twitter.
I mean, I don't know her. Like, I don't know her personally. I don't.
Yeah, she just
like,
follows
we're
you.
mutuals on Twitter. She followed me back for some reason. I don't know why. I've been a fan of her work since the. Yes, Yuri Bernie is a VTuber now. She's been a VTuber for years, actually. But you might not know. If you never like, I don't think you knew this either, right? Until I told you.
I did not know. I thought she was just a musician this whole time.
Yeah, she's a VTuber. She's been a VTuber for a few years now. If you didn't know the through line from Yuri Brony to Odyssey, you probably wouldn't know that, but they are of course the same person. She's been a VTuber for a while now. Yeah, she's out there VTubing just like the rest of us. Go check her out on Twitch, Twitter, Odyssey, Eurobeat.
I don't
Odyssey
have
Music.
her. I don't have her exact links yet. So let me see if I can find
Just you just Google it. Just Google it, guys.
Google it.
I trust you. I trust you guys to Google it. She's a great artist. Big fan. I'm also a big fan of the way that she's a transgender. Big fan of that.
Transgender
yeah.
women rule the world. We know this.
Her Eurobeat remix of Evil Enchantress was one of the first prominent Pony fan songs, or technically a remix, I suppose, since it's not an original. Like, it was based on an original composition, so I wouldn't really. But
There
like,
was
whatever.
only like a couple like chiptune remixes of songs up until this point.
Oh boy, I forgot about the chiptune stuff.
And then this song, the remix of Evil Enchantress became the first big song.
Yeah, this was a big thing, which led to, like Pearl said, lots of Super Pony Beat. Eurobeat Brony did like Eurobeat mixes of pretty much every prominent song in the first 2-3 seasons of the show, as well as a relatively large selection of original music. Discord, Luna, the Gilda song I can't remember the name of. Diamond Dogs was a good one. I like
Diamond Dogs. Can't wait till we
Diamond
get to
Dogs.
that episode.
That was a really good song. What's the Griffin? What's the Gilda song called?
It was so
I don't
long
know.
ago.
I was, yeah. A lot of these have been remixed modernly.
She did
recently.
she did a remake album in 2019.
Yeah, she did a remake album in 2019. She redid Luna like 2020. These are prominent. Like this is big stuff. This is big pony stuff. Everybody's like, if you were around, you're probably familiar with these works. Like Pro said, lots of pony music would rise to prominence in these coming weeks. Living Tombstone, of course, who is now doing some other stuff. He was in a fucking movie.
He's mostly focusing on like his own personal music now, and also Five Nights at Freddy's music.
He was in the Five Nights at Freddy's movie. Like, his music was.
His music was literally, he was like a composer for some of the songs, I'm pretty sure.
Was he? I just thought they put the one song in like the credits. I don't know or care much about Five Nights at Freddy's. So.
I'll let you know when I do a rewatch for the first movie when the second movie comes out later this year.
Do you remember Mando Pony?
Oh my god, I forgot about Mando Pony.
I could never forget about that guy. That makes it sound like he did something bad. No, I just really liked his music. Mando Pony. I don't want to like get into people's personal business too much, which again makes it sound like something bad. He did end up in a relationship and married one of the show's animators, I believe.
Interesting.
Yeah, I don't remember who. They met at a PonyCon, as I seem to recall.
BronyCon?
I don't remember if it was BronyCon. Yeah, I don't remember who it was. It's that was a really long time ago, and it's none of my business. I hope they're happy. I have no idea. I haven't thought about Mando Pony in a long time. I don't think he does music under that name anymore.
He hasn't like posted a video in a while.
Yeah, I don't think
Even though he has not made My Little Pony music in a long time.
Yeah, I don't know like where. Oh, it says okay. I'm looking at Wikipedia, like YouTube fandom. It says in 2017 he stopped going by Mando Pony and set to start publishing music under his real name.
Okay.
So
okay.
there you go. There's that. I mean, lots of people moved on. We've talked about this already before.
Like yeah, after
very-
like 5 years of My Little Pony, most of the fandom moved on to different projects.
The real takeaway here is that My Little Pony was a cultural moment, and that deal launched people's like legitimate music careers.
That just yeah, like
Or art careers, or
so
whatever.
many artists, musical or otherwise, were born in the My Little Pony fandom era.
A lot of people either got their start making music or art or whatever for like My Little Pony fandom, or were already doing it and hit what am I trying to say? Like got popular, got big off of My Little Pony.
Yep.
Like maybe they were already an artist before or already a musician before when they started making fan art, fan music for My Little Pony. Suddenly that garnered them a huge audience, and a lot of that audience, moved on with them when it was time to time.
Mm-hmm.
And it really, like that kind of thing. It just points again to sort of where we're this. My Little Pony was a thing that like was culturally relevant for a long enough period of time that like people today who are again like Living Tombstone's music was featured in like a film like that was in theaters and shit, and like his big break was like My Little Pony. Like it's crazy out there, that kind of stuff. That's not really true of Eurobeat Bernie though. To get back to that, I think that she was already a pretty prominent name in the Eurobeat circle prior to My Little Pony coming out, and then she just like, because I think Ken Blast was already a thing before that.
Yeah, she had albums beforehand.
Yeah, like I think she was operating under Ken Blast at the time, and then like Eurobeat Brony came out, and then like transitioned to Odyssey Brony, like Odyssey Eurobeat. But again, like that bump in popularity didn't hurt,
She is a very prominent artist. I think you all should listen to her and support her.
You should listen to stuff, buy stuff from Bandcamp.
Let's see, what else does she make? See, Super Pony Beat, Volume 1, Super Pony Beat, Volume 2. She released 2 albums in 2011.
Yep. Well, because a lot of those were remixes of show music, so like she already had like a leg to stand on in terms of like where to start with those, so it wasn't like that's, I don't know if that's actually easier or not, but like there's a starting point in terms of composition.
And
I don't know anything about music.
Over the years, she just made a lot of Toho albums.
I think that was her big thing after My Little Pony was Toho.
Yep.
Everybody likes Toho.
It's fine. It's a fine series.
Everybody loves Toho. Everybody loves Toho. Yes, you do. You love it.
I mean, I guess I do. I have a friend who's really obsessed with it.
You love Toho. Everybody loves Toho.
I love bullet hell games.
Everybody loves Toho. It doesn't even matter if you like playing Toho or if ever played Toho. Like Toho.
You know what? You're right. I'm about to put a really bad GIF on the screen. You're gonna hate me for it.
Is it Toho?
No, it's related to the episode we just watched.
Oh boy.
You just where did I put it? There we go. There we go.
Let me see it. I hope it's Sakura. Oh yeah! Spike does think it's funny. Floppy ass horn.
I hate looking at it.
It's so fucking awesome. Oh yeah. That's the stuff.
That is the stuff,
really,
right? That's right. That's it right there, baby.
That's a really good bit in the episode, actually. Spike thinks it's funny.
Spike gets written out of the episode because he needs to stay home and think about insults for his friends.
It's so yeah. There's a bit where they all rush off to go confront Sakura, and they're like, Fluttershy stops, just like, Spike, are you coming with us? He's like, no, I gotta stay here and research a cure or whatever.
I gotta think of slurs.
And then she leaves the room, and the camera stays on Spike, and he's like workshopping insults for Twilight's floppy horn because he couldn't
Which-
get anything out earlier.
That's in character to make fun of his older sister.
It's so good for him, honestly. And that's the last. That's the only Spike scene in the episode. He just leaves after back after.
There's, I'm excited for our next batch of episodes because we're going to be getting to winter wrap up next.
Yes,
which is
finally.
where the fandom fucking explodes.
This is ground zero, truly. Quite literally and truly ground zero.
Next, the next 3 episodes we'll be watching will be 10 through 12, Swarm of the Century, Winter Wrap Up, and Call of the Cutie Mark.
This is gonna be these are really good episodes. Swarm of the Century is okay. Actually. It's
Winter Wrap
fine.
Up aired Christmas Eve 2010.
Did it really? Wow. That doesn't make sense because they're stopping winter.
Oh, I'm so excited for the next time we do this because we can finally start looking at Equestria Daily.
Oh yeah, this is it. This is our moment.
This is where Equestria Daily begins, and we can start like filing through the older posts.
That'll be good. Finally we'll get that content.
Oh.
That sweet content.
Do you have any closing remarks?
I don't know. There wasn't a whole lot to go off of on these episodes in terms of like production notes or anything auxiliary other than the bridal gossip stuff. These episodes were pretty tame in comparison to like what we got into last time and what we're getting into next time. We'll have a hell of a lot to talk about next
We're gonna
week.
have so much to talk about.
Not even just like the winter wrap up stuff, but the Cutie Mark Crusaders finally being characters, like finally meeting Sweetie Belle and Scootaloo.
Finally getting to their beginning of their arc.
Yeah.
Yep. Next time, episodes 10 through 12, season 1. Are we recording 2 weeks from now or 3 weeks from now?
Yes, 2 weeks from now.
2 weeks from now. Perfect.
Not next week, but the week after that.
Okay, cool.
So we're back to the bi-weekly thing.
Well, this has been Horsing Around, everybody.
We've been horsing around. My favorite pony is still Apple Bloom.
My favorite pony is Zecora.
That's right. That's right. You know, I had a merchandise of Sakura. I had a toy of Sakura.
Aw.
It glue in the dark.
Ooh. That's pretty cool.
I don't know why I did that. I don't know why I did that.
Oh, all right, folks. Y'all have a good afternoon.
Bye, everybody. Bye.
Bye.